Let's go. Wake up. It's the morning run. Big dog Chico, Philip Dukes, and your main man, Uncle Neely. Get your hydration on. Let's have some fun. It's the morning run. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. Wherever you're checking in from, make sure you put it in chat. Join the conversation. This is the morning run. Big dog Chico, Philip Dukes, Uncle Neely. We have a special show for you guys today. This is going to be the 50K episode. You know what I mean? For LeBron James. Shout out to LeBron James, the GOAT, out there doing his thing. We're going to be talking about that. But we have an extra special episode because we have Slash Stewart, the Buffs legend, joining us today on this episode this morning.
Oh, now,
Right.
and look, let me tell you this: you can't talk Colorado football and the name Cordell Stewart not come up. You can't talk about the draft process and players being able to play multiple positions like a Travis Hunter and Cordell Stewart name not come up. You put a railroad reference because my brother Cordell is from a railroad. What the fellas be yelling? My railroad. Y'all know him. It's number 10, Cordell Stewart. We know him as Slash. Welcome to the building, Cordell Stewart. Welcome to the morning run.
Yes, indeed.
What's going on, man? How y'all doing?
We're doing good, brother.
It's good, man. It's good. Good. You know,
Man, you look like you're in playing shape. You ready to get back out there?
Hey, man, I tell you what, one thing I know in the world I live in, you got to keep yourself in fighting trim. So just in case something jump off, you got to be ready to go and do something something. You know what I'm talking about?
Hey, look, let me look, because we always chat before the show starts. Now, this man talking about being in fighting shape and he's sitting in the Waffle House parking lot. Like, I don't know.
well, they call it fuel. In order to do that, you got to be fueled up right. You got to be prepared for any occasion. It's the unexpected and the unknown that makes us all nervous. So before I go out and do whatever I got to do, I got to make sure I got enough fuel to keep myself ready. You know what I'm talking about? Neely, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know. Look, Neil ain't gonna miss no meal. This tank gonna be full. Hey, if you just join us in the chat, make sure you let us know where you're from and put a slash. Say slash in the chat with some exclamation points. Let's welcome Cordell to the show the right way. Cordell, we just finished up the NFL Combine. You, of course, went to the Combine, drafted and whatnot, and Shedeur elected not to. And people wanted to make a big deal about that, and I didn't want to make a big deal about saying he's arrogant. When you look at that process from your experience and parlaying into what Shedeur is going through, talk to us about how you see the landscape out there.
Well, I mean, just to go back what you said a second ago, with Shedeur not actually participating in the combine as far as the activities were concerned. He did all the other stuff, talking to teams. But I remember when I came out in 94, 95, there were a few quarterbacks that didn't work out. I was one of the few that did, and I needed to, considering the things that were being said for as being so mobile and athletic that I probably could go to Canada and be drafted high in the Canadian draft. To being, I think, the 31st quarterback going into the NFL draft and having Lee Steinberg as my agent, having conversations like, you need to do well in your Senior Bowl, which was the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame, to having to do well in the Hula Bowl, which was our Senior Bowl over in Hawaii, to then having to go to the combine and just tear it up and end up running like a full 4 in the 40, threw the ball just as good as Steve McNair, the late Steve McNair, and the other guys who were touted to go much higher, that end up catapulting me from being a 31st quarterback to being selected in the second round as the 4th quarterback taken. So it can work either way for a lot of guys. For me, I needed to break the stigma of the abilities that I had and not let it be, let's just say my kryptonite, but be my vice, if you will, in a sense of the abilities. But Shedeur, I mean, he's pretty much cemented everything that he can do. Of course, we all would have loved to see him do something. I'm sure all the scouts and organizations would have loved to see him do, but he chose not to. And like many others that haven't, it's okay that he didn't. It's just when it's time to show up, as we know he will, with all the guys back at home at the university and indoors, or whether on the grass, he's going to do his thing. So, that's just, Shedeur is a very confident young man. He know where he come from. He know who he is, most importantly. He's done some stuff that other quarterbacks hadn't been able to do. and the likes of coming from an HBCU to come to PWI, if you will, to then put up the numbers he did and the way he did, and just took two institutions and took them to places that they hadn't gone in a very, very long time. So he's that process is one that if you don't have the right group of people around you, you can implode easily as the player and one that has a chance to go in the draft early.
Absolutely.
Slash, have you ever played with a timid quarterback?
A timid quarterback? No, not that I can remember. The only quarterback I had with me was Neil O'Donnell that I can say that I played with. And when I say played with, meaning he was throwing the ball to me and I was in the huddle with him. Everything else was competition. I didn't care about everybody else. If the coaches put somebody else in, I had to prove a point that they were wrong for putting them in over me. You understand? Right. So I didn't have that type of a problem until I got to Pittsburgh. I didn't have that problem in middle school. I didn't have that problem in high school. I didn't have that problem in college. But when I got to Pittsburgh, it became one because, again, as we said about coming into the draft, it was always me being looked at as a mobile quarterback that I should play other positions. So I never had to worry about that part because I just knew everything I had was so much better than everybody else's that I really didn't care, to be honest. But timid quarterbacks, Neil O'Donnell, he was everything less. He was the real deal. He helped create Slash. He pinpointed everything to Ernie Mills, Andre Hastings, the late Charles Johnson, who played at the University of Colorado, who was my wide receiver when he was here with us at the university. And he was really good. What Yancey Thigpen?
Yancey Thigpen.
Remember that name, Yancey Thigpen? Yeah. So it was some great football being played when I first got to Pittsburgh. So I've never been around a timid quarterback, one that I had to either play with or around for the most part. Everybody else I didn't pay attention to.
And the reason I asked that because there's this report that comes out on Shedeur about his arrogance. And I think, and last night we broke it down as far as the definition of the word, and the dictionary breaks it down as an exaggerated sense of self. And I say, well, in order to play quarterback, you need to be a giant. You need to be someone that's bigger than life. You need to be this like it's almost this hero, so to speak, in order to play the position. And and in some people's perceptions, that confidence can border arrogance. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. How did you feel, or what was your perception of those comments when they came out about Shedeur as far as his arrogance being the turnoff? And what was your breakdown of that?
I would say consider the source. Because see, when you consider the source, you have to ask, where did they come from? What did they have to go through? Have they had to endure certain type of backlashes? The road traveled, how tough was it for them? And what people don't understand, particularly African-American quarterbacks, when you do have that level of confidence that you see a Shedeur may have, or, some guys come in the space of not saying much at all, like myself. I like to let my talent show it. Sometimes that's not enough because sometimes in order to convey certain things, you have to be able to articulate it in words or in a certain way to make people believe in you. And then they find out on the field what it is. Well, there are some people that just don't like that brash conversation and approach from a player. And on top of that, his dad being who he is, you have that piece. So now narratives and perceptions ends up creating reality for some of those people that may frown upon that type of personality. In order to be great, there has to be a level of arrogance. Period. It's just the facts of life. You think those who are great in all the positions that they're in, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's in schools, as professors, principals, leaders of the country, that they don't have some form of arrogance about them? Michael Jordan, as humble as he's been about who's the greatest basketball player in the history of the game, he passes it off. Rightfully so, because he knows it's not his time, it's someone else's time. And I think that's a very admirable thing of Mike to say. But that man knows what it is. Come on now. We've all been in that era to watch Mike play the way he played, and he didn't give two hoots about a damn person on the court, including the guys around him, to the point where if they wasn't doing it the way they needed to, he handled it himself.
Right.
And so when you look at Shedeur and how he handles himself, he has to feel that way about himself. He knows what he's going through. And because of the things that are being said, the things that are being said, he has to be that way to let them know you can feel the way you need to feel. I only need one relationship. It may not be you,
Yeah.
but it'll be somebody. And I like that the way he's being, because if he's not being his true, authentic self, then who the hell is he?
Yeah. Love that. Love that.
You need that attitude to be a quarterback. I would say that you need that attitude. I want to go back to some Pittsburgh Steelers days, because I grew up with my cousin who was a diehard Steeler fan. And he used to beat us so bad in Madden, especially in 2000, 2001, when Slash Stewart was like Michael Vick on Madden before Michael Vick, man.
There you go.
Let's go back to some Pittsburgh Steeler days. How was your relationship with the great Coach Bill Cowher, and talk about how he kind of helped develop you and the Slash?
Well, it's crazy that let me help with that story just to make sure most can understand it. It wasn't something where they forced me to do it. I voluntarily asked, can I help? Because that year in 95, we got injured early in that year. If you go back to Three Rivers, where Barry Sanders gave Rod Woodson that shake and bake move on the turf, and he tore out his ACL. Damn, there's a MCL too as well. You had a Neil O'Donnell who broke his pinky finger in his right hand. I think you had maybe Andre Hastings or Charles Johnson. A few of the receivers were going down. We ended up having to get Johnny Barnes from San Diego to come in and help out. And then in practice one day, when I warm up with Neil O'Donnell, throwing the ball back and forth to him, I'm kind of running the top of the routes, kind of, simulating that a little bit, just to give him a moving object to throw the ball to instead of just standing still. And plus, I wanted to keep my, my heart rate up a little bit, because I didn't want to, collect any fat pockets in my side, my waistline, after being in such great shape, sitting there holding the clipboard. Pardon the pun for those who are listening. But it was one of those situations where Neil ended up saying, hey, because he saw I was catching the ball, he said, well, if we need you to play wideout, would you do it? Yeah, if I need to help the team that way, coming from Colorado, it was about the team. If I need to help that way, sure. So one thing led to another in practice, of course. I'm running on a kickoff team, running down, creating a good look, to being on a punt return, to playing a little running back, receiver, and quarterback. I just stayed busy. And man, my first play from the line of scrimmage, I end up getting a quarterback sneak against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think on like 3rd and 15, got like a 22-yard gain. And the next week we play against the Cleveland Browns, and then I run from one side of the field to the other and throw the touchdown at the back of the end zone to Ernie Mills. And then that's when Slash was born. And so once that happened, it became a life of its own. The more success I had touching the football, the more opportunities they were creating for me on the field. So I think Ed Bouchette from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, a newspaper in Pittsburgh, said, Cordell touched the ball like 39 times, and of the 39 times, I got 36 first downs or touchdowns.
Damn.
And so Coach Cowher and Ron Elhart and especially Chan Gailey started coming up with this Buffalo package, and it was for me. And so I end up becoming, by week maybe 7, 8, or 9, the third wide receiver on the team, which meant I end up being a starter at the wide receiver position. And if we needed to run some plays at quarterback, we ran a few plays here and there, bootlegs, outside veer option. We found ways to sprinkle, some athleticism on our offense that defenses weren't prepared to stop. So we end up catching everybody off guard. And I think that was the first time, I want to say the first time outside of that run and shoot offense that was in Houston with Warren Moon, to where we came out with the first 5 wide receiver set. Everything else was 4 wide receivers. We came out with the 5 wide receiver set. So that just catapulted into something to where I end up competing for the starting job, and just let my talent show itself, similar to what we see today with the Jalen Hurtses and the Jaden Daniels and all the other mobile quarterbacks, the Josh Allens, and and we were doing that stuff we've seen today back in the mid 90s and early 2000s. So that's kind of how that Slash life evolved, and Coach Cowher just pretty much just watched it and just let it kind of do its own thing, and before you know it, greatness began.
Hey man, I've always said Slash that every institution was once a revolution. You
My
know,
man.
so things that we see as commonplace today, somebody was ridiculing and shooting at it when somebody first did it. And I remember when the Detroit Pistons broke out with that 3-guard offense with Dumars, Isaiah, and Vinny Microwave Johnson. Then, like you said, I remember when the Steelers. I'm a diehard Cowboy, so I wasn't feeling it
I'm
at the
sorry.
time. But I remember when y'all broke out with that five receiver set with you out there, and like you said, everybody does it. You look
Yep.
at what Golden State has done with 3 guards on the floor playing small ball. You look at now, everybody, it's 3 trips one side, 2 to the other. When you talk about that dynamic of what you brought to the table, let me go back to a little pre-draft with you, because this guy over my shoulder here, Travis Hunter, when they were talking to you and you felt the need of the combine, well, let me throw so I can prove I'm more than just an athlete, more than just a runner. When you would do your interviews, were they talking to you about drafting you as a receiver, athlete, or drafting you as a quarterback? What was the tone and tenor of those conversations?
Great question, Neil. That's a real good question. I'm gonna give you the Steelers. So the Steelers, when I went in there in the room, it was Ron Earhart, it was Tom Donahoe, who I think is with the Philadelphia Eagles now as we speak, I think. He's kind of like the GM. He's the guy behind in the back of the scenes, one of the scouts that really understands how to grab players. Remember Bill Nunn, the great Bill Nunn? He was
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh. His son was on, I think, what it was, one of those movies, Spike Lee movies. Um, but it was one of those situations where the Steelers asked me, if we needed you to play something else, would you? What the hell you think? I said, damn right I would.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stop
Yeah.
that I didn't want that to impede me from getting in. And then I had the Indianapolis Colts and the Chicago Bears who wanted to try me out as a running back. Now, remember, when I was coming out of college, I never did all that other stuff before. I just knew where I came from, Marrero. I knew I had the abilities, but it was at the quarterback position. And so when the question was asked to me to do the running back stuff, I told him no. The Steelers and no one else, truthfully, outside of Indy and Chicago, didn't ask me to do anything else at the combine. Everything else was throwing the football. It just was a matter of who would be able to coach that style. Like it's almost like, I remember one time one of the coaches in Pittsburgh, I'll say it like that, was like, I don't know what you're thinking. Or I don't know what you're going to. I'm like, bro, like Chan Gailey was the greatest, and Mike Mularkey was the greatest at it. He said, Cordell, I don't care what you do. Protect the football, keep us ahead of down and distance. And he would allow me to understand the principles of each play that we had to run, to the point where in 97 and 2001, those are my most being me moments. One coach said, well, Cordell, he get to the point where he just wants to do his thing. And I'm like, what is the definition of do your thing? I've never in my life said, let me do my thing. and when I heard that from the media, when there was a story written maybe a few years ago, I'm like, I'll be damned. It's like everybody makes so many excuses because of their inability to coach. People run from coaching. People want it to be a certain way for their comfort, but the comfort, it doesn't derive around the coach. It derives around the player on the field. And the reason why Jalen Hurts, and I got emotional when I saw him win. I thought the Brand Jordan with Love Hurts, and the music they were playing, when they end up doing a little commercial with him, and it was really good because that dude literally keeps the main thing the main thing. And who's ever is in his camp, whether it's at the organization in particular, especially because if somebody in there don't believe, it has to be 1 or 2 people that do. That matters. Because if it doesn't, or if they don't, it's going to always be an uphill battle subconsciously in your mind. And it's nothing like, I get being angry and frustrated, but why do you have to be mad to go out there and have a good time? Why can't people just understand what it is? Let the players be who they are, man, and implement something within the system that you have that allows that player to be himself. That's what makes Travis Hunter so special. Why? Because the head coach didn't try to change him. The head coach said, you know what? We need all of that of what you got to be good. And guess what you got out of him? All of it. That led him to becoming the best player in all of college football by a landslide with getting a Heisman Trophy. And it went right there to the University of Colorado, which means we got 2 of them things, all right? So it's like, get out of the way, allow these players to play. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, there is some foundational basics in the sense of what you want done when it's time to do it. But when you have that type of talent, the worst thing you can be is so traditional the way you can't get out of the way. You only see what you see. Because
Right.
sometimes guys look at stuff with their eyes wide open, but they're steadily being blind the
Yeah.
whole time. And I think, and this is the part that's so intriguing with me with Travis. On defense, he didn't just run zone coverage. They ran man coverage damn near 95% of the time. 95% of the time. So that means he's on a run for a minimum of 15 yards, whether it's north and south or east or west. The go routes he have to cover, and then he comes back on offense and he runs the same yards, the same distance to catch balls from Shedeur. So this dude is literally in shape to the point where it is unbelievable to see him being able to do it, to where when he gets to the National Football League, what do you see them playing more times than not? They play zone. It's probably 25, 75, maybe 50-50 zone to soft man, that catch man to where you're not pressed, you're kind of off at 5 yards. So he's not having to work that much in comparison to how he did at Colorado. I mean, these guys running crossing routes. Why? Because we were getting beat with the crossing routes so much. How far is that route being ran by the receiver that he has to cover? So for me, I get it. Where's the slot? Some guys talk about the money. I'm like, listen, when he comes in as the number 2 pick, number 1 pick, number 5 pick, he's slotted at that position to get his number. Whether it's corner, whether receiver, you pick one, whatever it is. I think when he goes into his second deal is when the magic starts. It doesn't start in the beginning. It starts in the second run. And he'll know as his body develops and he's going to naturally gain 5 to 10 pounds over some time. His body's going to start selling in. He's going to know what he can and can't do. But I don't think you pigeonhole him to tell him he can only do this, that, and the third when he's that athletic. Because I guarantee you, he's probably better than, if not their number 1, maybe the number 2 or that number 3 receiver on the depth chart. Guaranteed. Because the athletic ability to identify the football, particularly as a receiver, will translate phenomenally as a corner. That's why he's been able to. How many DBs we know wanted to be wide receivers, but they couldn't because their hands were trash? A multitude of them. There's only one that we know was really great at catching them, and he's coaching right at the University of Colorado because he took them back to the house every time he did catch
every
them.
time. Slash. Let me ask you this because you touched on it with this coaching mechanic. Let me say this, y'all. Let me get in order and proper. If you're just joining us, it's live with the morning run. We got our man Cordell Stewart. Shout out to the sound man for giving Slash that horn. So, Cordell, like you touched on it when you said something about coaching. The three of us here on the morning run, Big Dog Chico, Deuce Scoop, yours truly, Uncle Neely, taking nothing away from Travis Hunter. We strongly believe Travis doesn't win the Heisman if he's not with Deion Sanders. And here's why. Because only Deion Sanders was going to allow Travis to be Travis and understand how to coach that because he was that himself. And it's the same thing when I look at your trajectory coming out of Marrero, right there in New Orleans there. You got a LSU looking over you, but you got a coach coming all the way from Colorado to get you and then let you be you. And then look how the Steelers succeeded with you when they let you be you. It's a lot of times, Slash, like you said, coaches don't want to coach. They want to just grab a 5-star recruit. They don't want to get a 3 or 2-star and coach him up to it. They just want to take the easy route of it. And sometimes, a lot of times, that's really setting the player back.
You know you're telling the truth, right? So it's going to go on deaf ears. You know when you tell the truth, they don't never listen. You know that, don't you? I just want you to know that. So just gravitate that. Just put that in your mind. Just put that in your mind. But, it's, Coach Mack, the late Coach Mack, who we know passed away this year, man, about a month or so ago. Tough time for us as Buffs. But that man sat in my living room and told my daddy everything he needed to hear about what they were trying to do. And we were trying to get from the option pass to the pass option. And we ended up doing that. And Coach Mack wanted me to bring my strong arm, my strength, because I was in high school. I was benching 355 as a senior, squatting 500, running a full 4 and 40 on grass. Yeah, we were doing that then. And so, it's like he wanted that. because I ended up being, if not the biggest quarterback that's ever come through there running that option. I ended up being the strongest arm quarterback to come through there. Everything, like, just broke all the records for sure. But
Yeah.
he did a phenomenal job of taking what I had with Les Steckel as my coordinator, to Elliot Uzelac, who became a coordinator. He stayed the coordinator up until my senior year, and I got Rick Neuheisel as my quarterbacks coach, who also coached Troy Aikman when he came
Mhm.
from Oklahoma over to UCLA. And that was
Mm.
the greatest, addition to my game that I honestly can say in the early stages of my quarterbacking career on the collegiate level, well, just on close to the professional level, was him, man. That dude had me so amped up. I didn't know what I was taking, and it was just off of just natural, just love for the game and understanding what I needed to do. But to your point, yes, if Coach Prime, well, let me go back a little bit. Let me slow down. When Travis was here in Georgia, dude, all of that what we saw in Colorado, that dude was doing it here.
Yeah.
So that wasn't an accident of who Travis Hunter was. I used to watch him because I think it was ESPN's 100 or whatever ESPN creates for the players. And I just remember this kid looking like a Philadelphia Eagle uniform here in Georgia.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, and I used to see this kid jump over kids' heads for interceptions and touchdowns. And I'm like, who is this? And it just went over their head because there's so much talent like that throughout the state of Georgia. And then all of a sudden, I see him go to Jackson State, and I see him hug Coach Prime in that first game I think they played down in Miami, and tell
Yeah.
him thanks for everything. And then he gets to Colorado, and I'm like, man, this is a phenomenal story. But if he doesn't get with Coach Prime, I don't know how that resonates if he still goes to Florida State when it comes down to one, getting a Heisman Trophy, but having a chance to be on the field to that capacity.
Mhm.
To that capacity. Because if you got 130 snaps total, and this dude is a part of 121 of them,
Hmm.
and the only reason he's not on the field because he ain't a part of the punt team and the field goal team. Come on, man. Like, people need to stop clowning in these streets, is what I like to say. And let these kids play, man. I'm dead serious. And the good part about society today, and y'all have to agree with me with this, is expressing yourself, whether it's about what you like and what you don't like, it matters, right? Because there's so much trauma with people not being heard and inflicting wounds, self-inflicting wounds we do to ourselves in some capacity, cause people to have to listen now, right?
Mm.
So it's forcing people to understand and hear what's being said to where it's starting to matter. Because if not, with social media, you start boycotting it. For the pressure applies. And now it's through having to, deal with peer pressure. It makes you make decisions that's not how it used to be back in the day. So Travis Hunter is special. Coach Prime did an exceptional job of allowing that young man to be himself. You couldn't expect anything less from Coach Prime, right? Because you saw the type of player he was. And I just think that's what he did with all of his brothers, Jimmy Horn, Webster, all the guys, man, Webster,
Yeah.
all the guys. It's a great thing and a great time in football, in sports in general, to where it's showing even the coaches who didn't understand that mentality of allowing players and people to be themselves. To where you got coaches singing all type of song in the locker rooms to their wives. It's what out there in South Carolina, all the nice urban. I'm like, bro, it's just the times have changed. And I think, the evolution of how you coach nowadays, it's totally different than what it used to be.
No, I love that answer. Slash, tell me something. My mom went to Tennessee State.
Yep.
They so in the 70s, or during that time period, they always rooted for Joe Gilliam, and that's how we was raised, right? To learn about Joe Gilliam, and he didn't get a fair shake in a lot of people's opinion in Pittsburgh. So for you to kind of follow that legacy as an African American quarterback in Pittsburgh, what was it like having that type of, I wouldn't say pressure, but being able to lead in that same type of catalog or that echelon of quarterback in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Joe Gilliam. I met his dad, Coach Gilliam.
Right.
And she Colonel, let me tell you something. See, if it doesn't defy logical reasoning, that's
Yeah, like
that's what he would say. Right? So that's what he would say, and I had a chance to meet him, and then I met Joe the last game we played in 1999 against the Redskins in the Three River Stadium right after we beat them and imploded, and we walked around and shook everybody's hand, and he walked behind me. And you saw T. Martin come in, and he wore number 17, attributed that to Joe Gilliam and things like that. And I heard all the stories. You get some conflicted ones where you get the typical dudes that, man, if he would have, but like, come on, bro, it's a human element. Nobody's perfect. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? And the time in which Terry Bradshaw ended up taking over, that team was undefeated, and that man was slinging that thing across the yard like it was nothing. I mean, literally. But Pittsburgh wasn't ready for it, just like they weren't ready per se for me. But the only way you make them ready is by winning. And one thing we did do in Pittsburgh is we won.
Yeah.
We won a lot with me. I think I was like 46 or 29. That's like 60-some%, winning percentage, one of the highest that you could have of all three of the best quarterbacks that come through that, Terry Bradshaw, Ben, and then myself, and out of respect because they won Super Bowls. But it's just, when you hear those stories and you see those stories and some of the stuff that I had to go through in that city unnecessarily, in a sense of what they didn't like and what they wanted to see, I didn't give a damn, honestly.
Right.
I was going to do what I had to do to make it work. And if I had to do it again, I'd do it exactly the same way again. So my road travel in Pittsburgh was more controversial than celebrated. And so if you look back on it, it's hard for the media or anybody to, because remember, narratives create perceptions. Perceptions then becomes reality for those who don't know any better until you do your homework.
Right.
And so I'll give you a couple stats. I like to do this every once in a while for validation here. I was the first quarterback, considering that, Coach Cowher may have said that he still saw me as a wide receiver, and a lot of people have said the same thing. That I was the first quarterback in the history of the organization's existence, going back to 1931, to complete over 60% of my passes. Now that's a wide receiver. Okay. I'm just saying. And 75, 35, and 5, which is 75 throwing, 35 rushing, and 5 receiving. There's not a single quarterback or a player in the history of the game that's done that before. But you'll come back and say, but Cordell, Cam Newton threw for over 100 and something and rushed for over, but he hadn't caught 5. Well, Cordell, Taysom Hill may have caught, 10. He may have rushed for 10, and he may have passed for 25. Well, how many? He got 40 more to go, or 45 more to go. So, it's like when you put all that together, that is Slash in real life. And, it becomes a one-off until it becomes normal. Once it becomes normal, then it becomes valuable, and there's some value in conversation. But right now, it becomes kind of like just a situation that took place, and he was a quote unquote hybrid player. But I beat out every quarterback that was there when I said the opportunity to start. So, hell of a quarterback.
Let me tell you this about Slash and about black folks. It's two feelings, right? It's two emotional charges that just can't be beat.
Never.
One, having receipts. 2, having the big joker when you play spades and you got this book. Like, well, Slash threw the big joker down on y'all. Like, he came with the receipts. Like, look, don't try to rewrite history. The numbers are the numbers are. Let me tell you this, Slash. It's been going across the bottom. Out of all that Shedeur accomplished in Colorado, you still got the highest winning percentage of the starting quarterback. Your record still stands. Well, I think it was 83% or something like that, Chico.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, 83% winning percentage, 27-5-1 as a starter. But for someone to say you're a running back or a receiver, like
Let me say this about that, man. And and sometimes you have to have transparent conversations. Shedeur did an exceptional job, man. Considering, and I don't like to blame the O-line because we got to make plays. But because sometimes it was kind of shaky, only blocking 5, which I like to block 6 or 7 sometimes because we got to protect the quarterback first, you still got to make the plays. And regardless if Shedeur gets sacked for 10 yards, he'll come back and throw that thing for a 35-yard gain on 2nd and 1,000 and get the first down. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make any sense to see that young man be able to do that and do it as if it's first down. And it's unbelievable. And those are traits that you can't teach anybody. You have to have the will and the internal desire to want to be able to go out and do it. And he does. Now, in this era, this is an era where this is what they do. They throw the ball across the yard. To be able to put up 1,000 yards plus to Michael Westbrook in one season, to 1,000 yards plus to Charles Johnson in one season, where a fullback as well as 2 tight ends in the game matters. I'm not talking about a 5 wide receiver set. I'm talking about 3 wide receiver set, sometimes 4 if you're lucky. To put up that many yards in one season at a time which running was my thing. I mean, they had what? Ty Collins ahead of me. They had Kerry Collins ahead of me. They had Zaire. What is it? What Zaire was it? Mark Zaire? What was Zaire's play for Georgia?
Eric Zaire.
Eric Zaire, yeah.
Eric Zaire. You had all of these quarterbacks that were ahead of me that was allegedly passing quarterbacks. Just imagine if we had this system way back when with all the talent we had at the University of Colorado. So that work that was put in is still standing the test of time to help you understand, even in this era of football, those numbers and the work we did, Michael Westbrook, Charles Johnson, Christian Fourier, Ray Caruth that we know of for other reasons other than on the football field, Phil Savoy, Matt Lepsis, who went from a tight end to play offensive line in Denver. I mean, we were in Rashawn Salam, the late Rashawn Salam, and Lamont Warren even, Herschel Troutman out of Florida. Like we really was putting in work, Neely, for you to bring up that stat. And I'm sure with a few other stats that's still in there, and one that will never ever go away in the history of the Big Eight. When it comes to all-purpose yards, I lead with all-purpose yards in the history of the Big Eight. And you know how long the Big Eight was around?
Yeah.
And come on, man. I mean, it's beyond ludicrous for anyone to question the ability of yours truly, man. Come on,
Put that big joker down there.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm feeling like Shedeur right now. Don't you dare! You have the audacity. No, but it's all good, man. That's the evolution of life. That's the evolution of the game. And all you can say is you got a footprint in it. Just like you guys are showing what you do. It's being pioneered in a way to where somebody else going to try to follow the template, and you'll be able to come back later on down the road when there's a few more grays in that beard, Neely, and fellas, you get a few more grays and y'all stop using that Beijing and stuff like that.
You see it.
Dukes, he calling you out, Dukes.
That ain't even naturally black, man. That's
come on, black. Dog. Come on, man.
Come on now, dog.
Y'all will be able to, tell the great stories about the things that you did on the show. I mean, look at the work you're doing, Neely, in Colorado with the RV, the big bus that you guys have. Come on, man. That's and I'll go back to this real quick. Because the numbers haven't been like the numbers for the white quarterbacks. And I never like to speak race. But it's when the numbers are so small, right? For the African-American quarterback, whether it's the guys that can run or the big arms, the Shedeurs of the world, the Jalen Hurtses of the world. When the numbers are very small, they're going to continuously be firsts, right? It's going to continuously be firsts. Because if the other quarterbacks are the ones that are the bar, now all of a sudden you got Lamar Jackson who's given 4,000 yards passing and rushing for 900 yards and putting up 41 touchdowns in the air and only throwing 4 interceptions. Come on, man. I don't know a quarterback since I've been watching football give me 41 and 4 with that touchdown interception ratio, and you don't get the MVP. Like, so it's like you just keep on watching sports and you keep watching football, even basketball, the same way with what you see what Steph Curry's doing and the numbers he's putting up. No one's talking about him being the GOAT, but he's in the GOAT conversation. He gets one more championship. We can't deny him of it. But I'm just saying it's the evolution of the game to the point where they're going to always be a first every year. Jalen Hurts, his numbers are so great. Like he's the first, I think, in touchdown throwing and touchdowns on the ground in the postseason. And he's beaten all the great quarterbacks. Who does he beat? He beat Patrick Mahomes. He beat Lamar Jackson. He beat Josh Allen. Who hasn't he beat who's supposed to be the elite quarterbacks in the league since he's been a starter, particularly in this season. And people still aren't. So we just got to keep on going. Still progress, still work in progress. And you got to make people understand what it is so they can know what it ain't, and help them understand they got to stop clowning and folk facing, stop playing games, and call it what it is.
Stop clowning in the street.
Stop clowning these streets, man. You gotta stop clowning these streets now. You gotta cut it out.
Slash, let me hit you with this one, brother. Whatever people are saying about the combine and not throwing, of course, Shedeur still has a pro day, nailed all his interviews and those kind of things. This brother is going somewhere between number 1 and number 7. Like it's that just is what it is.
That's right.
What happens in that scenario, though, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to a bad team. Now, I don't think that there's anybody more equipped than Shedeur Sanders to deal with that. When you look at the offensive lines that he's had and still leading in completion percentages and touchdowns, winning the Johnny Unitas Award, et cetera. When you look at since Jackson State to his final year, this brother has had probably 6 offensive coordinators. So if anybody knows how to thrive in uncertainty and instability, it's him. But talk to me about some of the pitfalls or challenges a young quarterback, immensely talented, faces when going to a quote unquote bad team.
Man, you got to humble yourself fast. There's nothing wrong with being confident in yourself, for sure. But I just think when it comes down to the stuff around you, people who don't know you, guys making money. It's not just football anymore. It's their jobs. The likability of players towards you, or even you liking them. Like there's a lot of moving parts on a National Football League level that's different than how it is in college. We can control young men in college. Even though there is money, you still can control them because the money is being controlled on how you give it to them. Right? So I just think on a National Football League level, how are you going to tell a man that's making $20 million a year what to do? And you come in with more swag than all of them because you got your own money. So it's
I use the Munda, baby. You got your own money.
You got your own money. And so now it's like, okay, how do I transition myself?
Travis got his own money too, y'all.
You know what I'm talking about? There it is. Look at that.
He got his own money.
I say he got his own money.
You hit the jackpot, baby.
A $1,000 bill. It's just, any player that has that type of confidence, you don't change who you are. You just identify your environment. And I think if any player of that type of stature and a sense of confidence, Heisman Trophy, your expectations, I don't want to say you have to put them on reserve, but I think you have to learn the room. Once you learn the room, and that's humility, once you learn the room, you know the buttons to tap. If you don't learn the rooms, man, it's going to be tough. I mean, look at the kid Williams out in Chicago and some of the stuff that he's been saying and how he comes across with not knowing him behind the scenes, but just what you see. It becomes a humbling experience to where you start questioning yourself. You start having breakdowns. And I'm not saying he did, but you look a little different than what you did when you were at USC. And so, it's just going to become a reality check, especially at the quarterback position. Because if there's, say, for example, we got Tennessee Titans, then who do we have that? We have Cleveland, then we have the Giants, then we have the Jags, I think, and then we have New England, correct?
New England is 5, right?
No, New England's is they're 5, and then I think it's the Raiders. Yeah, then it's somewhere. Yeah. So it's like any one of those first 5 to 8 teams that need a quarterback, you better believe where they're struggling. And it starts up front on both sides of the football. Because football is played from the inside out. It's not played from the outside in.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way, especially for a young quarterback. It goes from the inside out. So if the inside is good, and what I mean by inside out is O-line, D-line, and then we kind of work ourselves out to the outsides. And I think once those portions of the field is handled well enough, I think a person like Shedeur and everyone else that wants to play quarterback, they'll have a chance to flourish. And it's like I don't want to say because it's just a different dynamic in the players, man, on the national. That's why Coach Prime mentioned, in the early stages that it's tough for him to want to go coach in the National Football League. He ended up doing something to somebody because these jokers driving the same Ferrari are more expensive than the ones he used to drive or Lamborghinis. And they're flying on helicopters and jets, and some got their own little small little propeller planes. And guys have lives, and guys are making real money today.
Mm-hmm.
Real
And
fast.
so, it's Shedeur is special, but he's going to, have to buddy up with them old linemen, man, to make sure you figure out who got the two left feet, which one of them got the two left feet, which one got all the kids at home to where he on his last leg to make sure he get to that next contract,
Yeah.
that the dinners he used to do with his offensive linemen there in Colorado. Ooh, you have to make sure they good every week because some dudes, I'm telling you, some of these dudes are very traditional and reserved, and he's have to do technically what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, just do what he's been doing, and he's gotten whether it's Cash who came in from IMG and having to take over starting last season
Cash
to
money.
making it happen. I mean, after watching what game was it? I think it was the Texas Tech game, and I think the quarterback was doing the same thing, the one that was starting before, snapping the ball before the ball was asked for, and Cash went in and never saw the sideline afterwards.
Mm.
And it's like stuff like that where guys are respecting him and like him and want to be around him is what he's going to need early on because you don't know what the offensive coordinator is going to call. You have no clue. But if that offensive line cares about their quarterback, they're going to make sure he's good. And I was fortunate enough in Pittsburgh every year to pretty much have that mentality from the guys up front, which was they cared regardless if everybody else saw me as a receiver. When they knew I was in the back there, playing quarterback, they knew I was capable of doing certain things, which made them feel good to know that, hey, as long as I got to do is give them a half a second or two, and you never know what's going to happen. So that's all I'll say for Shedeur or any quarterback, Cam Ward, the kid coming out of Ole Miss, whoever it is that's coming up next.
Yeah.
Just understand that part. That's the part that's tough because it's going to take some time. You have to spend time with them. You have to spend time with them.
Slash.
Yes, sir.
Neely mentioned that you were at Waffle House earlier when we first came on.
Yes, sir.
And of course, Waffle House is known where in Georgia, right?
Yeah, it is.
And all right, so I'm going to bring up this picture of someone you met in Georgia that's now in Colorado. We'll be wearing your number 10 in Colorado also. Tell me about this picture and this young man right here.
My man, that's not the Waffle House.
Yeah.
Look like Hooters.
It's Georgia, but
it's Georgia for sure. That's it. Willie's. That's Willie's, a Mexican spot. Was coming home from practice that day. Actually, I went and played golf, but it's right around away from the crib, and we go there after practice. Me and my son all the time, and Juju and his dad came in there and saw me and my son Sire in there chopping it up, and his dad came over and brought him over to me, and I guess his dad probably has him looking up all the African American quarterbacks, the guys that were successful. And I just remember Juju saying, I watch your he said, Mr. Stewart, I watch your videos, and I know you were number 10. And all of a sudden after that, I ended up seeing him going, I think, to Pace Academy with Chris Slade, when Chris Slade was the head coach over there. And I saw in his social media, he said, well, I guess I got to wear number 10 now. I said, you know what, man, that's all right. And I've been following him ever since, literally DMing him and telling him, and in some instances where he had to slide up in the pocket, he had two hands on the ball. I said, great job there. I said, keep on pushing, keep being accurate, yada, yada, yada. And before you know it, I ended up getting a phone call about Colorado, went to, I think, the Utah game or the game before that. I can't think. It was two of them I went to. I can't remember which one. And I didn't know he was going to the game. I didn't have no clue. And saw him on the sideline. I think with the picture you see with us dapping up on the sideline, I was like, man, that's all right, man. And he ended up making a decision. And it's amazing how when you plant a seed, it's just in life, man, what it can do for people.
Yeah.
When they respect you and they're watching you. And to see this young man go from, I think, the age of what at that time, maybe 10 or something like that, to all of a sudden now he's committed to Colorado and he's going to wear number 10. That makes you feel pretty good as older guys. You can see the whiskers under my chin, they're a little gray now, but to see that, I could have been a guy that was shunning the kid off, man, and it could have turned the kid off to not want to even see the University of Colorado. And it's kind of a great match and great timing because Coach Prime is there now. Shedeur's done a great job of carrying the scepter of being a quarterback there, and that kid wants to walk in those footsteps. And it feels good to at least have a recipe inside of that gumbo, of influencing that young man to have an opportunity to at least want to visit Colorado and consider it. So I guess you could say, people get upset when you say this, but I like to say I had a little bit of something in that thing, helping that young man get there, just a little bit, just a little.
Definitely.
That's another
Yeah,
joker.
man.
That's another big joker slab to the table. Slash, let me ask you this, man. Dukes has done this to the chat out there, this excellent series on breaking down, who's next after Shedeur. You can catch it on on Duke's channel or the Pregame Network, where it talks about the path for Juju to become the starter or the path for Saul to become the starter. Y'all make sure y'all check those breakdowns out. But I want to ask you, Slash, about Juju, your relationship with him coming from Georgia, true freshman coming in like you were in Colorado. How important is it for his development, no matter who gets the job after fall camp? How important is it for his development to face competition for the job versus just being the heir apparent automatic?
Yeah, that's Coach Prime knows what he's doing, but I mean, sit up here, respond, and tell him what he should do. You know how that goes. I mean,
Don't go well.
yeah. So, but traditionally, there is a competition, and you're held to a certain standard if you end up winning the job. Of course, the quarterback position is one of the most delicate positions on the football field when it comes to the psyche and the mentality of that player. To know that if you do get benched, somebody may go in, that person don't do good. Now you got to go back in, and now it's the musical chairs. I've been in that position before. It is not comfortable. It's not good. It's not healthy. And the reason in which you end up having to go to the bench has nothing to do with your abilities. It has to do with maybe sometimes the likability of the coach. I don't think Coach Prime is like that. He hasn't shown that. I mean, of course, he had Shedeur, his son, out there playing because he believes and trusts him, and he raised him to understand how to play that position. I think Juju has done a lot of work that put him in this position to start off with having a chance to go to USC, to Colorado, getting him to come to the University of Colorado, and him being touted as the number one quarterback, if not number one in the country, top three in the country, for his the capabilities of going to a quality institution. Um, I think from a business standpoint, he understands what it means to work. If you look at his litany of work and things that he's documented over the years, he's proven that he works. I don't think anything's going to change for him there at the University of Colorado. Expectations are high. The position itself and the seat itself, I think I saw where he and Cash was in the auditorium in a room where all the players sit. Quarterbacks sit in one section, linemen sit in another section, kickers, specialty, so on and so forth. And he was sitting in Shedeur's seat. And Cash said, "Are you ready to take on that responsibility of sitting in that seat where Shedeur sit?" He said, "I ain't got no choice." Right. The kid is humble enough to come from what he's come from for his notoriety. I think he had an NIL deal in college, didn't he? In high school, didn't he?
He did.
He did.
He could be as arrogant can be. But he showed a level of humility with a straight face, though, and confidence in saying, "I ain't got no choice." So you ain't got to worry about me when it comes to working, is technically what he was saying. So I'm looking forward to it, to be honest. Out of all the stuff that's going on at the University of Colorado, that is one of the first ones. When it comes to seeing how that looks, that's the one I'm looking forward to. I promise you on everything I love. I love my institution. I love Coach Prime to death. That's my guy. You know how I feel about you, Neil, and everybody else in that institution. Rick George, my AD, all of that. But I want to see number 10. I mean, because that kid went, I want to see number 10. I've just been watching him for so long. And for those who follow him, you've seen the work that this kid's been putting in. Man, it's solid. It's good. I just want to see him do it at the University of Colorado, wearing that number 10 and calling the plays and, being under that umbrella and wanting to see him succeed. Because, through nepotism, he's not my kid, but through nepotism and selfishness, him wearing that number 10 is a great thing, and him being, a part of, I guess, my mental state in the sense of seeing this kid grow and staying in contact with him. I'm really excited, man. I'm like, there's some excitement for me on that in that position right there with him, with that kid. Shit, excuse my mouth. I can't help it. I'm sorry, but I
Tell him,
can't
Neely.
wait to see it. I can't wait to see it.
Hey, like I tell everybody, this hour show, emphasis on hour. You can cuss all you want. Plus, Waffle House parking lot. You got to cuss in the Waffle House parking lot. They were cussing while they made your patty melt. You might as well cuss.
Man, what you talking about? Slash. So in this career, I just heard you mention NIL. Ballpark figure. So the quarterback from Tulane, they said he got $4 million for Duke. In your day, what do you think you would have been worth in the NIL era?
Man. Correct me if I'm wrong. The NIL kind of fluctuate every week, correct? Doesn't it go up and down like new stuff comes and the number goes up?
It mostly goes up, but it fluctuates. Yeah,
it fluctuates, right? Like the stock market. After that Hail Mary pass, I ask y'all how much money you think I would have gotten. Just the Hail Mary pass alone.
Let me tell you. Let me give you a black example. After that miracle in Michigan, that Hail Mary pass you to Westbrook, I just stood outside your door like Smokey playing Big Worm, been flipping the same money over twice. Like
Big Purr, Big Worm.
Hey, it's all I got, dog.
No, bro, I'm dead serious, man. That play still exists. It ain't ever going nowhere.
Yeah.
In the history of the game, that's pros and college.
Yeah.
We was in the big house from the minus 26-yard line, and it carried the entire length to the end zone. And for Brooke to come out of nowhere after the tip drill, Blake Anderson did an outstanding job to be a distraction. And the ball goes up in the air, and he catches against Hall of Famer Ty Law.
Yes.
Mike had his way with him. Had 2 touchdowns against him in that game. So, that play along with going 11-1 and going to a Fiesta Bowl and all that great stuff, probably could have collected about $10 million. Even way back there, I mean, about $10 million. I mean, I would have went to the league saying the same. Look, y'all, if y'all ain't trying to change your organization to want to win, don't even look at me. You know what I mean? Don't look. I would have said the same thing. I mean, because I would have been a first rounder in the top 10 pick easily. Because you just watch any film you want to, and turn the volume down, and just apply it to how the game is today. And you can't question or have a doubt about the things that we did from an NIL standpoint. Michael Westbrook would have been making so much. Rashawn would have had it. My old line from Derek West, Tony Birdie, Chris Neely, Heath Irwin, Brian Stoltenberg, Christian. Come on, all those Derek West. Everybody would have been paid, man. We would have got no less than a piece, no less than about 500,000.
Yeah, easy money.
Easy
money.
We can't forget that guy Chris Hudson on defense.
And then see Hud on the other side. I mean, he would have got his, because I think he was all Big 8 2 years in a row, I think, and then he became a Thorpe Award winner. I mean, I'm just talking offense. I ain't get on the other side yet.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's you got Shannon Clavel, you got Darius Holland, you got Ted Johnson, you got Chris Hudson, Donnell Lee. I mean, you got so many great players, that were really, really good. That Greg Jones, who ended up going to Washington, who played defense outside linebacker. I mean, come on, man. Money would have been crazy. We had no social media.
The game doesn't change at Slash. I remember one of my favorite sports movies, Blue Chips, and they did the movie of basketball based on what was going on under the table. And all Ricky Rowe on it was $50,000 in a tractor for his daddy. It's like that's all on top of the table now. Like you can get you a tractor deal,
So
I want to ask you one more thing. All right, so like now in social media, we get to see who players are off the field. We get to see who they hanging with, or like we saw LeBron and Carmelo and Chris Paul hanging.
Yep.
In the 90s, at the height of your popularity, if you had to go hang out, let's say y'all met up in Atlanta, who was your clique that you was hanging with?
Man, it would be my boys on the team like Jerome. That's mainly because you hang with the guys that you were playing ball with at that time. So Jerome was a guy on the team to Dwayne Washington, Chad Scott, Wayne Gandy, all those dudes that was on my team. So that's even Yancey and Ernie Mills, CJ, like all the boys in the clique, like Damani Dawson, my center. We play golf a lot. Yeah, Damani Dawson, Hall of Famer. Matter of fact, he emailed me yesterday about going to Ireland for the September 28 game to see the Steelers play. So we all stay. Rod Woodson, Greg Lloyd. I play golf with Greg all the time.
Greg Lloyd.
Yeah, Greg Lloyd. Yeah.
Nasty.
Hey, you got to win a fight. You got to win a fight in the alleyway. You taking Greg Lloyd or Mike Westbrook?
Yeah.
Good question right there, dude.
Great question, man.
Mike crazy. Greg Lloyd is mean and foolish.
Oh man!
Wow, boy, that's they might want to beat me up for not picking them if I pick this.
Right.
I'll take both, man, because I want to make sure I'm good. As the boys say, pause in the front and in the back.
And I need the pause right there.
Yeah,
neither one.
Hey, Slash, I just want to point out. I know you're rocking your purple shirt, but Greg Lloyd is a Kappa, just by the way.
Well, but it's funny. It's funny you say this stuff, Neely. But you boys in red, y'all sure hanging out with the boys in that purple, boy. I tell you,
it's called mentoring, man. We gotta try to feel something in y'all.
It's also called safety.
Nah,
two things for sure. Y'all gonna be all right. Hanging out with the right boys. Y'all gonna be all right.
Safety.
Hey, you mentioned something about Hall of Fame, and let me ask you this. You got the first head coach in college football as a Hall of Fame, and then he brings on Warren Sapp. Now you got a third Hall of Fame in the building, Marshall Faulk, who I know you have a special relationship with. What does it mean to have Faulk on board in Boulder?
Yeah, Marshall hits, that him being there is a little different. Marshall, we grew up together at the crib in New Orleans, and every summer we would play against each other for our summer camp game. And he would always, say we standing on the south end of Folsom Field on our sideline, right? And Dale Ward is on the opposite end. So say they're on the -5 yard line and they're on the far hash away. They would do a toss and everybody would be running to that sideline to try to make the tackle or block. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here come Marshall Faulk running down the sideline, dude. When I tell you that was the prettiest stuff you ever want to see, being on the opposite end of where they were, in the direction in which they were coming in, man, Marshall was a bad dude. And when he got to San Diego State, he was even worse. And I mean worse as in bad as in great. And he, he's the boy. He's a homeboy. He's a boy, man. He's the dude. Like,
man, how did LSU let y'all get away, man?
Because they wanted to change him to DB, and LSU didn't like black quarterbacks. I'm gonna say it. They ain't like him.
Another big joker.
They didn't like him at that time. They didn't want me. They wanted Tommy Hudson type quarterbacks. Okay. And so if you got a Tommy Hudson as your quarterback, what do I look like playing at LSU? I'll be playing what? At that time, maybe safety, wide receiver, tailback.
Yeah.
I'll be competing with Marshall Faulk for his job that he may have wanted to have.
You look like an outside linebacker. Let's line you up on the edge and have you rush the quarterback.
You're pretty fast and you're quick on your feet. You're really agile. Let's get
I didn't mean to go there.
That's how they did Willie Beeman. Willie said they had me running up tackling 250 pounds.
I don't do that type of stuff.
On, nobody got time for that foolishness. But Marshall smart. Marshall gets it. He's smart. He understands the game. I mean, he's been to a few championships. He's been a winner all his career, especially in the game. And I just like to see him do the things that I've seen him do out of respect, utmost respect. Like, that respect is a little more personal because I know where we come from and what we have to deal with to get out of there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you New Orleans is a bad place because it's not. That's where we were raised. That's normal, right? We think about how we make it and we move out. We start saying stuff. Man, I remember when I was eating like it was a bad thing. No, it wasn't. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Don't change. Don't get caught up.
You ain't finna tell me potted meat ain't good.
Man, potted meat is delicious, boy. Let me tell you something. Right?
Come on now, dog. We ain't gonna say this as grown men now, dog.
Shoot, boy, pardon me, was delicious. You talking about it. So
key word / said right there was delicious. Are y'all saying
Yeah,
I ain't
but
gonna go
This
off the
is
rails.
at the
I ain't gonna go
time,
off the
you
rails.
like it's all we had. Like that was
so
that.
here's
I
here's the
didn't. I
problem.
didn't
Here's
know
the
to look
problem.
down on it.
Here's the problem with you bougie boys today. See, your palate didn't
Get
change.
get
See?
get him.
Your palate didn't change. See, now
You
you
ain't
didn't
lying.
forgot. See, if you take you back home and you go to your aunt house that you only want to spend 5 minutes at, and you stay there for longer than 5 minutes, you're there for an hour to 2 hours, the potty meat gonna come out of there now. It's coming
Yeah.
out.
Hey, Slash,
This is true.
let me tell you how prophetic you are.
Oh,
My
man,
man,
here we
Big Dog Chico, born and raised Selma, Alabama. Now he live in Hawaii, but he don't want no potty meat. He
That's
wear
all right,
flip
though.
flops and
It's
he eat
okay.
chopsticks, and now he want to talk bad on potty
Hey,
meat. Boy, you're from Selma, Alabama.
Slash said what? That's okay.
He may eat that potty meat and break out right now. He don't need
Right.
no more. Leave him alone. He may break. He may break
You
out
ain't
the
lying.
hives. Eat that potty meat right now. Leave him alone.
Hey,
He'll be
but guess
fine.
what though? Ain't spam potty meat.
All of it.
No, I'm not eating spam anymore. That's literally what happened. I ate some spam out here because it looked good, and like a couple weeks later, I got sick. I couldn't eat it anymore. So
So I'm talking
you're
about.
exactly
I'm
right.
telling you, he gonna break out in hives. He done. It's
Yeah.
over with.
Hey, but he
Your palate
still
can't
liked it.
take it.
Look, but see, he still liked it though. But what happened was he got, and now he gonna try to look down on it because he can't eat it no more.
What
Well,
we're
he
not
had
gonna
people
do
around
is
him.
what we're
No,
not
he
gonna
had
do
people
is
around him. He had people around him, and they saw him eating it to the point where he had to explain what it was.
what we're
He
not
had to
gonna do
explain
is
what it was.
start a roast Chico session up in this thing. What we're gonna do is go. All right, you got that purple shirt on.
That's
We're
right.
gonna go
That's
to the
right.
Lakers.
That's right.
We're gonna go to the
That's right.
Lakers. We're gonna go to my boy LeBron and LeBron James 50K. Before you get up out of here, let's get your thoughts on LeBron James doing what nobody has done in the league before, and that's getting that 50K.
Hey man,
Point.
it's unbelievable. I say we have to enjoy LeBron for the work that he's done in the tenure in which he done it in. The problem I have is when they start comparing him to Mike. Leave him away from that. It doesn't. You can't do it. It's unfair. You go down a rabbit hole. But because of what he's doing, you cannot question it. You can't doubt it. He has done overall the better job than any other player in the history of the game. An overall, I say, overall better job. It's just once you say the 50K, you're gonna start mentioning that four-letter word that's gonna cause a problem, and it's called the GOAT. And I just say you have to be careful where if you speaking of the 50,000, stand on that. Stand on his numbers because we can also say numbers that Mike had just in 14 to 15 years that took LeBron 20 plus years to get to. And so when you start mentioning GOAT and championships and defensive player of the year and offensive player of the year in the same year, like the work that that man put in is second to none. But what LeBron has done probably will never, ever be able to be done holistically. And when it comes to longevity, he's had the longest career of most in being able to do these miraculous things. And you have to cheer him on and accept him for who he is. But I want to stop it right there because I know we prepared to ask the next question is, do you think he's the GOAT? And he's not. I'm sorry. I'm done. I apologize.
You know, all that money I have for you for the miracle in Michigan, I take it back. Taking it back. Goat James is who I'm talking about.
Man, I'll tell y'all.
That's what I'm talking
Slash,
about, Uncle Neely.
I'm with you on that, man, because here's the thing. I think that the LeBron Jordan debate and the futility of it, no matter which side you're on, diminishes the appreciation for what you're witnessing LeBron do. And
That's
so
right.
I think you have to take this stuff in eras by what the rules were, the style of play were, the style at that particular time. But the fact of the matter is, for this brother to be 40 years old, got to 50,000,
still doing it.
Every time he got to a benchmark in points, he's been the youngest and the fastest to ever get there. You got to take your hats off to it, no matter where you fall in the argument of who's the greatest ever. Because there's some arguments that when you make the case for Jordan, well, the same arguments you make for Jordan would apply to Bill Russell. And there's some arguments where you're making them for LeBron that would apply to Magic or Kobe. I think you just got to rock who you want to rock with. But, man, to see this guy doing what he's doing at this level and he's still averaging the same type of points, assists,
it's
rebounds,
remarkable
steals that he did
it's
15,
remarkable.
20 years ago. Woo!
See, it's you kind of got to separate it, right? It's like Who's the benchmark? Who's everybody trying to catch? Who's everybody truly trying to be like? Everybody wants to wear number 23.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
What number LeBron wear?
He was playing. I'm just saying.
He wear for a reason.
And that man is still relevant to the extent he is, to where everybody who's great, I don't care where he's at. What's the kid named Anthony in Minnesota?
Yeah.
All of them. Like, they're all trying to find that next guy everywhere across. And that guy is Michael Jordan. But again, this dude, LeBron James, is different. He's special. I mean, he's a football player playing basketball. That's how I say it all the time. He's just a bully. He's big. He plays strong. He's in this era and where you can shoot, it's affording him an opportunity to stay healthy longer. Defensively, you know, he plays solid for his size. He's a true power forward. He's a true power forward in real life. He's a true power forward that has the ability to run the floor with the ball, and create matchup issues and cause your forward to have to come out, you know, outside the paint to get up to the arc to try to defend something. And more times than not, you end up leaving him there by himself. And so he has free reign because you're trying to protect the rim. So, you know, the things that LeBron has done and the way he's done it, coming directly out of high school, the expectations, it's beyond conversation. And for him to handle it the way he has, the best way he could, I think has been very admirable of him. But I'll say this. He needs to stop listening to the noise. He needs to talk to Shedeur and stop being consumed about what people say and how they respond to him, because he can't give a damn. You know, if and he knows all the guys that talks about him. They got a job they got to do. You can't be, if that should fuel the fire. It shouldn't be me sitting here seeing you saying, man, it's a shame how people talk. Man, stop. No, you're too big for that. You make too much money. You're doing too good for yourself to allow yourself to get caught up into that matrix. Play the game, be you. And just let people understand why you are great and why you can be considered as the GOAT. 50,000?
50,000, Ocho.
Come on, man. 50,000.
GOAT.
50K.
Now, I wasn't one of them guys who was on LeBron as the GOAT for a long time. I'm a Laker fan, of course. I said Magic Johnson was the GOAT for a long time over Michael Jordan. So I grew up as a Michael Jordan hater. You know what I mean? But I respect.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm honest.
You know what?
See,
I'm pointing right at you.
That,
You're honest. Yeah. Not everybody knows how to be honest. Everybody like to play gated and go in directions that has nothing to do with the facts, and the facts be so jaded to where you sound like you're just hating. So just say it. Say you're a hater, and then I can accept what you say.
You hear that? You hear that, Dukes?
No, I hear it. I hear it, and I'm about to respond to it. I appreciate Slash's assessment in this one particular category, but I'm gonna have to offer a friendly amendment. He's honest as it relates to this debate, but he lying about that potty meat. He lying about that spam. Like, I'm not gonna say he's an honest person just because in this one situation he told the truth. Because the ninja will lie, and he lies Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this very show all the time.
Unbelievable.
You said a ninja. I like that one.
Yeah, look. This ninja.
Are you just a Michael Jordan hater?
No, I grew up as a Lakers fan.
He had to hate Jordan. He had to hate Jordan because he's a Lakers fan. He had to go. He had no choice.
Slash understand. You had to hate, you know. So I came up, and I've been late on this LeBron GOAT thing because, like I was trying to say, is I still respected Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? I knew what he did, and with LeBron now doing what he has done for this long period of time, dog, you have to say this guy's the best basketball player to ever play. Now, was Jordan greater for a shorter period of time? Yes. But we're just talking about being a basketball player and what God created. I think LeBron James is that.
Let me help you understand something. Time. Okay. See, what you ain't gonna do is clown right here in my face on live, this Nod Network here. See, Michael Jordan at North Carolina as a freshman and what he did as a sophomore, it was second to none. Winning championships with James Worthy. You got to remember the work he put in when he was in college. Now, when he gets to the league, he can't help that he got dudes on the team that's garbage. He can't help
He
that.
played with James Worthy and Sam Perkins in college. And where was LeBron at the same
who
age?
was Sam Perkins and James Worthy when we saw them in college? We didn't know who they were. We had no clue.
But Michael Jordan knew when he walked in there. He knew that these guys are men.
But what I'm saying is, we always, like they say with Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen was not that player. That's why Charles Oakley was roughing him up and clowning him so much early, because Mike was trying to get him to understand how he just needed to play that Robin role between Batman and Robin to help him do some things. And then when Phil came in with the triangle offense, then they had some direction. And then that's when things started working. But people act as if Mike had all of the first rounders and all-star players like LeBron had over his entire career.
Well, LeBron had Shane Battier.
Man, and who else he had?
Michael Jordan had Orlando Wood.
No, not Mike. Who else LeBron had?
LeBron had a plethora of great Hall of Fame players.
Yeah,
he had to go
but
to
that's
Miami
the era that he played in, though. I think that's the era that he played in.
Michael Jordan was crossing over Jeff Hornacek. Man, come on,
right?
He
was playing against insurance salesmen.
Y'all wrong. See, that's why y'all wrong, guys. See,
Danny Ainge and
y'all so dirty. Y'all so wrong. See,
look.
Let
me tell you this, Scott. Let me tell you this, Slash. I will co-sign with Chico. I'm a hater. But there's some background you need on Chico, though, dog. See, you from Louisiana.
Yeah.
I'm from Mississippi. Yeah. Chico from Alabama, Dukes from Georgia. Like, that's the South.
His name, baby.
Okay, like, and not only is it the South, it's the Black Bible Belt.
Yeah.
You got to understand, Slash, when you debating with Chico, you debating with a man that broke a window out of the church intentionally. You can't.
Come on now, dog.
The man has no moral compass.
I just saw somebody at the bottom of the ticket say Michael Jordan didn't win a championship. I think until he was with Scott. Listen. LeBron has had more first-round picks, more all-stars than Michael Jordan has ever had throughout his career. Michael Jordan stayed with one team. LeBron went to how many teams again? Even Steph Curry's career with one team, with 4 championships. And look what he's still doing. And we haven't mentioned that guy in the GOAT conversation yet. That is so disrespectful. This man is the greatest shooter in the history of the game. This dude shoots the ball from everywhere. He gets in the rafters and throw the thing behind his head backwards and makes the thing. But nobody talks about Steph Curry. But all we want to do is talk about Go James.
All we want to do.
That's all we want to talk about Go James. And all Go James did was find him some championships. And now, let's be honest. With Luka on this Lakers team, this is probably, since he's been with the Lakers, because I'm not going to count that indoor championship. I'm not going to count that for it. I ain't going to count that indoor championship. God. When it comes down to him having a chance to win, this may be his best chance to win, in my opinion.
Oh, how many teams? How hard is it to go from team to team to team, and every year, or every time your team has a chance to win a championship because of who you are?
He's not stable. He's not stable. He's
not stable.
20 plus years. He's traveling. He's traveling all over the place, and then he ain't finishing all the games all the season. He's probably playing 50 to 60 games a season, at best.
What?
Give me one time in his career that he played all 82 games. He only did it once. Michael Jordan's done it. He missed it maybe one time, and he did it every single year of his career. Michael Jordan. See, that's a GOAT. What about Steph Curry?
Yeah, that's a GOAT.
Let me tell you this. A black man showing up to work every day is not the GOAT. That's a damn fool. I'm gonna take me a day off.
Hey man, listen. Let me make sure everybody who's listening.
You ain't lying.
I love LeBron James. It's like arguing between Joe Montana and Tom Brady. Like,
there is no argument at this point, though. Joe was the greatest then, but Tom has taken it over.
But this dude, the way he did it, he didn't lose in a championship game, though. And he did it with a fullback, and he did it just with 2 receivers. And he did it with times where, because of the ruling that happened to Tom Brady in 2008 when the Kansas City Chief player hit him in his knee, the rules started changing. This man didn't get that luxury to get those calls when it came to rule changes. If Joe Montana got hit in the back of the head from a blind shot or got hit in the knees, it just was what it was. Now, that's for some of those hardcore football players and enthusiasts when it comes down to how the game was played in the midst. Like Michael Jordan, He's going against James Worth. He's going against all of Lambeer. This dude is getting his behind whooped in
And
the
Jeff
paint.
Hornacek.
Hey man,
Right.
I ain't
They
gonna
beat
it down.
And Danny
Hey,
Ainge and Mark Price.
Hold on. It wasn't not one guard in the league as tough as Jeff Hornacek is right now. We talking about tough.
What?
And, look, and I'm gonna tell you why I know he was tough. Because we all know Vernon Maxwell was a fool, and he said he was tough. And it ain't a guard as tough as Vernon Maxwell in the league right now.
Yeah.
So right now, who wants to play? Matter of fact, who wants to play? Who is the best defensive two guard in the league right now?
Best defensive two guard.
He will be today. Name somebody. You can't name nobody who got D. Who got?
I could put. I'll put. I can think of 3 guys right now that I'll put
We're
over.
not naming nobody that got D. We're not doing it.
Plays defense.
Your guy in Atlanta, who the Great Barrier Thief. Your guy in Atlanta.
1 year.
Right?
Go ahead.
Okay, man. I'll take. Who else we can take over him right now? Give me Alvarado out of New Orleans, the guard.
All right, never mind, Chico. All right. Okay.
See what I'm saying? What?
Yeah,
but Chico, to a greater point, and the deference to our special guest Slash, who's welcome back anytime. I love the way you frame that with Montana Brady, because it's the same thing for me with LeBron and Mike. You have to look at errors. You have to look what was allowed, what was the rules, the way the game was played. Was it inside out, outside in? Because it matters. Like it's great. You're about to get mad at me, Slash. You're about to get mad at me.
Come on.
As great as Steph Curry is, he is the greatest shooter in all time.
Ever.
If you put ever, period. But if you put his career in an era where I could hand check you and put an elbow in your hip while you're shooting and it ain't a foul, that number.
See, that's where you go wrong. See, because if you watch Steph Curry, he uses their defender. He uses his guy to find just that much of space to make those shots, which we saw Reggie Miller try to do all the time. Reggie Miller was kind of that Steph Curry of this era back then. And that
absolutely was. And Reggie Miller would get knocked on his ass while shooting and still hit it, is all I'm saying.
But Reggie was still the man, though.
No doubt about
it from him.
But the numbers are lower. What I'm saying is the number, he's going to still be, he's a great shooter, but he's not going to make all the ones he's making now because he gets touched.
As physical as Mike was in that era, could LeBron handle that pressure? Considering when the dude hit him upside the head, he fell on the ground and he grabbed his head. You got to stop.
No, because again, wait a minute now.
You know what?
Wait a minute now.
I got so much
wait a minute now. Wait, hold on.
LeBron,
tears coming out his eyes. LeBron wasn't bleeding. LeBron was playing to the damn rules. If y'all go allow me to flop and get the ball, why would
y'all gonna cause my battery to go dead on my phone?
All right, we got to get up out of here.
You
just said LeBron wouldn't handle the 80s.
No, he wouldn't handle it. He don't like to be physical now. He's hurt every year. He gives you a maximum of 65 games a year, maybe 55 games a year. He sits out for a week at a time. Michael Jordan couldn't sit out.
We're gonna have to continue this one.
Oh yeah, we got to. Slash got to come back.
Same time tomorrow, 11 Eastern tomorrow. We can finish this conversation about everything away from Colorado to talk just about this here. Tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Because people like this here. Because you know what? I've been having this with my black brother, and he kills me because he is a LeBron hater. I'll be ready to
Let's do it. Tomorrow, y'all heard it here from Slash. Tomorrow, 11 Eastern, we bring it.
I'm going to do some homework.
Can't wear no purple shirt. Don't wear no purple shirt.
I'm waiting for the Lakers. I'm a Laker fan.
There you go, baby.
LeBron.
Lakers in the building. Now.
But Mike is the GOAT, though. I'm sorry.
We'll continue this. We appreciate Slash for joining us. Buffs legend, Michael Jordan, advocator, and anything you want to leave us with?
It was great, man. We need to keep this going. Had a good time. Shedeur gonna be all right. You got to get past this moment of free conversation because people gonna say what they want to say. And I think the faster he can get where he needs to go, I think the quicker we can get going with this thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm anxious to see where it goes and what happens. And the kid is great. He's excellent. He's no different than any other player in this draft in the sense of giving him an opportunity to do what he's going to do. He's going to be fine wherever he goes. He just got to keep his head about him and do what he does and keep the people around him that he trusts and love the most and go from there. But other than that, Shedeur going to be fine. Shedeur going to be absolutely fine.
Absolutely. Y'all heard it from Cordell / Stewart. Number 10.
That's right.
Jersey program, but number one in your heart. Slash, we appreciate you. This has been the Morning Run Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with Duke the Scoop, Big Dog Chico, yours truly, Uncle Neely, and we might just have a special episode tomorrow to continue this basketball talk.
Got that right.
With Cordell Stewart. So y'all stay tuned. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn the notification bells on all 3 channels. Big Dog Chico, take us up out of here.
Hold up. We're not done. We're gonna let Cordell go. We appreciate you, Cordell, once again. We appreciate
you, fellas. All right now.
All right. We're gonna see him next time. But we're not done. We're gonna, before we finish this, I'm gonna hold y'all over just a little bit. Before we finish this, let them know what they have to be on the lookout for later on today, because it is Wednesday, right?
Oh yeah. Man, look, I appreciate that, Big Dog Chico.
Set you
because
up,
you have crossed over into what I was gonna be like my man Duke the Scoop. Hey, is the monetization on? Like I appreciate that. We got Wednesdays with Warren dropping this afternoon, 6 p.m. Central, release 7 p.m. Eastern. Man, it was an international show because SAP is over in Taipei. And so it was 11:30 p.m. Tuesday for me, but it was 1:30 p.m. Wednesday for him. So it truly was Wednesday with Warren. Y'all going to love this episode. We're talking about international travel, the food you've been eating. And, of course, we get into football, the draft, and talking about Colorado Spring Ball. So get ready for Wednesdays with Warren dropping late on this afternoon. Shout out to the Hall of Famer Warren Sapp.
Already. But that's what it is, man. Dukes, you got to leave us with something, let people know what to be expecting from you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Come to the channel.
Yeah. Hey, throw that big joke in there.
Channel. You scared? Y'all know what it is, man. Exclusive with Cordell Stewart. This has been another.
Oh, you know he dead ass serious about tomorrow morning, right? Like he ain't playing.
We can do it, man. I'm dead serious too. What's happening? If y'all want to put it in the chat, let us know. Shoot. But until then, y'all know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe, comment, all the other good stuff. And until next time, we're gonna be up and about this thing. Peace in the Middle East.
Roll.
Yeah.